Event in the life of the Felon Rock Climbing Club as we gather together around our newly cast plaque commemorating the lives of our members who died in the First World War. This year, the original plaque was removed and replaced by a new plaque by our friends from the Royal Engineers who are with us here today. The original plaque is to be placed in the Imperial War Museum. I wish to thank two of our members, Mr. Peter Smith, OBE, and Chris Sherwin, for their dedication in making this project such a success. A flag from the battleship which fought in the Battle of Jutland in 1916 was used to unveil the original plaque. What we have here is a plaque from another battleship at the same Battle of Jutland in 1916. On the very day in 1924 when Mallory and Irvine disappeared on Everest, a party of Felon Rock members came to this place to unveil and dedicate the plaque to the memory of those 20 fellow members who lost their lives to the horrors of war. Those men were some of the finest mountaineers of their time, who loved these hills, yet laid down their lives in order to ensure that we who follow could share in that love and freedom of the hills. Today, 69 years later, we are gathered around this new plaque to honour those same men. However, the true memorial is to be seen in the mountains around you. In 1923, the club bought a vast tract of land above 1,500-foot contour from Kirk Fell, over Gable, Green Gable, Brandreth and down to Grey Knotts to Honister. On the other side, from Lingmel, Broad Crags, Glaramara, Allen Crags, round to Seathwaite Fell, were all purchased by the club. These stocks were then gifted to the National Trust on behalf of the nation to allow us all the freedom to enjoy and free access. These hills are their true memorial. In a similar way, we've handed the Act of Remembrance over to the nation. We do ask that it should avoid all commercial, political, national, military and specifically religious overtones. We ask that our Act of Remembrance should be reflective, private and personal, as well as collective. I'm now going to ask my fellow club member, Mr. Richard Hargreaves, to speak and unveil the plaque. Richard is a relative of the Slingsby family. Slingsby, H.L. Slingsby is named on the plaque. Richard is also a relative of Geoffrey Winthrop Young, who gave the speech when the plaque was unveiled in 1924. At the end of Richard's speech, I would ask you to join me and join collectively in 2 minutes of silence to honour those who've been denied the freedoms we enjoy. Could I introduce Richard Hargreaves? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will now pull up, unveil, pull up the flag and reveal the poignant glory, the new, really refurbished memorial plaque. The H.L. Slingsby on the plaque here was Lawrence Slingsby. He was an officer in the Yorkshire Regiment and he died of wounds in Flanders in 1917 at the age of 24. He was a climber, of course. His father was William Cecil Slingsby, one of the key early climbers in the Lake District, Slingsby's chimney on Scawfell and many others, and a man who's still honoured and revered in Norway as the father of Norwegian mountaineering. Lawrence Slingsby was my great uncle, if I'd met him. His brother-in-law was Geoffrey Winthrop Young, as John has said, who was another great uncle. Geoffrey was, during the war, was a pacifist, but he spent the war commanding Friends ambulance units on the Western Front in France and then in northern Italy. And in 1917, in northern Italy, his ambulance convoy was shelled and his left leg was shattered so that it had to be amputated. He then designed his own wooden leg. And the engineers were like this. It had a screw device so that it could be shorter for coming uphill and longer for going downhill. And in 1924, it was his very first serious walk up a hill when he came up to dedicate this memorial in 1924. He walked up from Gatesgarth, not the easy way from Hollister, and a grueling walk for him. In the family it said it took him over 5 hours. I'd like to read you just the beginning, just the first few lines of the speech he made to dedicate this memorial and to thank the Felon Rock and the nation for the hills on which we can walk so freely today. Upon this mountain summit, we are met today to dedicate this space of hills to freedom. Upon this rock are set the names of men, our brothers and our comrades upon these cliffs, who held with us that there is no freedom of the soil where the spirit of man is in bondage, and who surrendered their part in the fellowship of hill and wind and sunshine, that the freedom of this land, the freedom of our spirit, should endure.
Could I ask you now to join with me in the collective 2 minutes of silence? Thank you.